4 birds. Adoption since last council meeting is 16 cats and 19 dogs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we've got a couple of items to present this evening. The first is a proclamation in honor of honoring the month of April as Child Abuse Prevention Month. We're presenting this to Mr. Juan Solis, representing the San Bernardino County Children's Network. Mr. Solis, will you present?
Yes.
Would you like to say a few words?
Sure.
Please.
I mean, it's kind of hard to follow up a beautiful dog. I'll do my
Following
best.
dogs and kids is always hard, trust me.
Right. So the overall goal of Children's Network, for those that do not know us, is to help at-risk children by improving communications, planning, coordination, cooperation, and integration among child abuse serving agencies. We run a number of campaigns, including campaigns on positive parenting, child development, child abuse and exploitation prevention, father engagement, maternal mental health, and mentoring. But we will be looking to come back for all these other proclamations that we have lined up, father engagement being one of them. And we are really grateful for the city of Redlands to partner with us on this proclamation. So thank you guys.
Thank you for your work.
All right, and the next one we have today is a presentation declaring the month of April Donate Life Month. We're presenting this to John Van Kampen and his wife Susan, who are here representing One Legacy. Any folks would like to come forward? I'd like to say a few words as well.
Sure. My name is Susan, and my journey with donation and transplantation started over 30 years ago. And I was very lucky to receive a spinal surgery that had bone graft in it. And then later on, my dad developed kidney disease, and I'm a living donor. Unfortunately, I wouldn't have known at the time, but now I have 3 siblings who've also had kidney transplants. So we really like to promote people to sign up on the donor registry in California, and this month is Donate Life Month. And we would like to invite you to participate in the walk run on April 27th, or maybe one of you.
I'll delegate.
I was going to say, delegate out to somebody. So that's what's in here for you, and then some little things we'll get back to.
Great, very good. What else do you have?
You want to take the
We're
picture
supposed to
with us,
come forward
right?
into our office.
Competition, Mr. Baker.
Refer to the experts.
Well, come back, now come back.
Great,
Well, thank you, we appreciate your support.
Thanks for your support.
Take care, folks.
How about a round of applause for both these groups?
All right, we have public comment at this time. The first speaker slip I have is Dennis Bell. Mr. Bell will be followed by Margaret Budrick.
Good evening. I went on all 3 different Transit Village walks this past weekend. All 3 walks were highly informative and were well facilitated by Alta planning and design staff. We didn't try selling anything. One thing that was very apparent in all the walks was the amount of infrastructure and safety improvements needed to make the areas around the transit villages walkable and bikeable, especially around the university. Who's going to pay for all that? Another thing was nothing was being done on the north side as usual. Also, the meeting place for the Saturday afternoon university walk was the Sylvan Park picnic area. Before that walk, I walked over to the skate park to see how many people were using it. There were only about 20 actually doing so, not the predicted hundreds if not thousands. And also last Saturday, the City Hall's favorite craft brewery held a block party beer bash to introduce its latest concoction. I understand Sessom's Drive was closed to traffic to accommodate this drunk party. Does this brewery get written permission from the city to close the street? Or did it do what organizations like the YMCA and Bike Classic do? Just close whatever streets they want without permission? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Ms. Budrick? Will be followed by Heather Perry.
That's Nick.
Well, thank you.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to address our homeless issue that they've actually resided right in front of the shooting park in Redlands, and I want to know what are we doing about that, and what can we do as a city to stop this or help, keep our city safe and clean?
This is your opportunity just to address this. We can't answer your questions.
Okay, and,
Staff will be in touch with you.
Okay.
But
all right, thank you.
thank you for coming in. Heather Perry with Supervisor Rowe's office. Heather.
Good evening, Mayor Foster and council members. I'm here just to update on some programs from the county. We have the Vision for Safety. Every 6 months, we change up the visions. So this one is, what we're looking for is nominate a safety hero. And just some examples, it's not what what people would normally think as a police officer or a firefighter, all those are very, very important. But these are people who have started a neighborhood watch, a teacher who encourages a safe after-school program, business person who encourages their employees to learn CPR and so on, and children who help their family prepare for an earthquake or a fire by practicing those things. So I have some forms here. You can go online and I will leave the information with the clerk. But if anybody would like one from me, I will be in the audience tonight. Also, just to let you know that it just went out of my head. It's the Generation Go. Generation Go, they're partnering with Arrowhead Medical, and it's the youth, to get youth involved in vocational other than just college, where sometimes that's not a fit. Right now, Arrowhead, I don't know if I said credit union, I didn't mean it, Arrowhead Medical has students from high school that will be learning a certificate program. So when they do graduate high school, they have a certificate and they can go into the medical field. And it's an alternative as to what some would think doctors or nurses, but that's not always the right fit. Or they have a career that can supplement them or help to pay for their college while they are continuing on. Also an update, now you can text 911. So it's not just calling 911, you can text 911 and communicate that way. And also the 211 program for county information, we do have Spanish speaking operators now that can also help. So I just wanted to update you on all of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. That's all the speaker slips I have. Is there anyone else that wishes to address the council on an item that's not on tonight's agenda? Great, seeing none, we will move on to the consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Tejeda, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Davis. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to communication item, there's one item that I placed on the agenda. We do have one speaker slip. Mr. Bell?
What's the rush to get this election done? Somebody really ready to turn dirt tomorrow? Our city doesn't have squat when it needs over $40 million for a sewage treatment plant rebuild. They shouldn't be spending money even if it's supposedly been budgeted just to keep some special interest happy. Just because money has been budgeted doesn't mean it has to be spent. The special interest wants this special election so bad, let them pay for it, not the taxpayers. Also, the city shouldn't waste money on a special election for a ballot measure that has a strong chance of being defeated. I haven't heard of anyone in favor of this proposed ballot measure except City Hall. The city thinks it just has to put this ballot measure to the voters. It should do so with the presidential primary election next March. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. I have another speaker slip on this item, Mr. Rogers.
Mayor Foster, Redlands City Council, Steve Rogers, Church Street. I wanted to speak about this because I've missed the meeting, the previous meeting when this was on the agenda. And I don't know if a lot of people have turned up to talk about it, but I'm really confused that, about the likelihood, again, like Dennis mentions, of this potentially not passing, because most of the Redlands folks that I know, they appreciate the small town feel of Redlands, and I'm not sure that they're gonna be willing to say, oh, well, we're gonna, go for this 6 and 7 story kind of development.
Oh yeah,
So,
Todd.
I'm really confused though about how long sort of that we've known that we need to do something like this, because, we're really behind the 8 ball now, and I think that maybe, I'm hoping that the city's not, and SBCTA is not gonna be using, it's like scare tactics against the voters, that if for some reason that we don't approve this, that then the train, wouldn't come to Redlands, because the train project is all predicated on these transit villages being approved with the train stations and all that. And so then,
Well,
I mean,
because they
it
want to
really
get people out of their
seems like at
cars.
the 11th hour now, all of a sudden, and I'm not sure if it's legal counsel who has really come up with this strategy, but it's all like, oh, the city's almost punting, and they're gonna kick it over to the voters, and then we're gonna have to decide. And all I can say though is if, we decide, like I think we're gonna decide, that we don't want this high density development, the train project won't come. The funding won't come because it's, pretty much all federal funding. Is that what they're talking about? So I'm really concerned about this, and I wonder if there's another way to do this besides putting it on the ballot. Because I believe the city should be responsible for doing this to accommodate the train project. And they're moving forward with the specific plans and transit specific plans in the EIR. But that just seems like a shot from the side, and all of a sudden now the people of Redlands are gonna decide our own fate. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. And as it should be, the citizens of Redlands should decide their own future. What you're missing in all of this, not surprisingly, is that these are ballot measures which have been voted on by the people, and the only way they can be changed is to have them voted on by the people. Our job is to craft the best legislation we possibly can, and we're working on doing that. Mr. Bell, we will be considering this for the primary election in 2020, because we believe more people will be turning out and be able to express their voice on this issue when it comes. At this point, we have ongoing work being done by members of the City Council and staff and constituent groups that are looking at options, trying to find compromises in what might make the best language possible. I would like to make it clear that contrary to what the newspaper published, where no one is looking at a 6 or 7 story building. That's not in the consideration. So anybody that thinks that might as well get that out of their head. The max is going to be 4 or 5 stories, and it will be covered in the specific plan.
That's still
But
high density.
This is, at this point, because we don't have an exact date when we're going to bring this back, although it will be soon, I'm just suggesting that it be tabled because it was continued until the 16th. Probably won't come back on the 16th, and so I'm looking at, I think, probably in May for it to come back. So if the council is all right with that, and also take the look at it's listed here as a special election, but it would not be a special election, it would be the primary election in 2020, then that's what we'll do. So I would move that the item be tabled at this time, and that the staff look forward to putting the ballot measure on the ballot in March of the primary of 2020. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, moving on to new business. The first item of new business is the consideration of an agreement with Engineering Resources of Southern California Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $101,000 for design engineering and improvement for the water pipeline replacement project. Municipal Utilities and Engineering Director Tour.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. As stated in the staff report, this item pertains to engaging the service of civil engineer to design the water line replacement project. Staff solicited proposals in February, received 11 proposals from engineering firms, evaluated all the proposed, and Engineering Resources was ranked as the best qualified firm. This firm is a reputed firm. They're in business for quite a long time. Of course, they change the names here and there. And they have a firm office local here in Redlands. So staff is recommending approval of this contract to Engineering Resources of Southern California for $101,000 to complete the water line design project. The scope of work for this project is that we will be designing approximately 11 miles of water lines in different street locations, about 60 street locations. This project is precursor to our overlay program, and we anticipate to complete this design within the next 2 to 3 months so that we can go out for bid and then start working on our overlay program subsequently. With that, Ms. Mayor, I conclude my presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Director Tour. Are there questions of staff at this time?
I have a
Mr. Tejeda.
question. Is this gonna fall in line with the Paris in any way?
That is correct, Councilmember Tejeda. This one is that we have to change the pipeline first before we start overlay, because otherwise, these are older pipelines, so that can be problematic later if we don't replace them.
Thank you.
Other questions of staff? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
I move the City Council determine that approval of the agreement for design engineering services with Engineering Resources of Southern California Incorporated is not subject to environmental review pursuant to section 15061B3 of the guidelines implementing the California Environmental Quality Act, and further move that the City Council approve an agreement with Engineering Resources of Southern California Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $101,000 for design engineering services for the 2019 Capital Improvement Program Water Pipeline Replacement Project.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Tejeda, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Davis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. The next item of business before the council is the consideration of a purchase and sale agreement for the sale of 2,708 square foot portion of Assessor's Partial 1069281100000 with the San Bernardino County Transit Authority. Quality of Life Director Bowman.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As Council is aware, the San Bernardino County Transportation Authority is the lead agency that is responsible for the development of what's known as the Redlands Passenger Rail System. With that, SBCTA, as more commonly known, has been undergoing a series of acquisitions for the last 2 years to try to prepare for the upcoming rail to come through town. As part of that acquisition assemblage, the SBCTA has submitted a proposal to purchase a 2,708 square foot portion of property located south of Stewart and east of 3rd and adjacent to the rail line. The proposed purchase price is $96,500 and the escrow period is 30 days. An appraisal was conducted which indicated the purchase price is consistent with fair market value. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Director Boatman. Questions of staff? We have one speaker slip, Mr. Rogers.
Mayor Foster, Redlands City Council, Steve Rogers, Church Street. The rail project, yes, I'm very interested in this project, and to sort of stray off a little bit, I went on all of the station walks and actually rode my bike around the station walks to really understand what the access issues are gonna be. But on this item, and I guess it's consistent with the closed session, a piece of property is being purchased by SBCTA from the city of Redlands. But when you look at the closed session, it gives the same assessor's parcel number and another item along with a second assessor's parcel number where there's a Redlands Railway District LLC, Don Berry. So I think I know who that is. And, which Don Berry works, for ESRI. So I believe that's the folks for ESRI. What I'm concerned about here is that, I understand why you guys are doing all this in closed session because it's a negotiation on real property. But here, I guess, there's a private interest that's being given the opportunity to purchase property from the city, which I guess is the remnant of this property. So that, to me, that sort of defeats the whole purpose of why we're doing closed session in the first place. Because certain people in the private sector get to know about it, certain people don't. And I'm really worried about, and I've voiced this opinion before, what happens in the in the closed session here, that it be consistent with just being about what the closed session is supposed to be about. Because I've just recently become aware of another situation where apparently something was done in a closed session, and now there's code enforcement action happening. And it really starts to remind me of things like Crystal Springs, which I believe was a big, big mistake by the city of Redlands and the property owner. So, I mean, all these things to me are all tied together when you're talking about property, and you gotta be transparent about this. SBCTA is not being transparent with the public, letting everybody know what the parcels are for the train project that are required from the whole city. And that's what, they should be having a public meeting and telling us, hey, here's all the parcels that are required. These are owned by the city, these are owned by private interests. So we're all given the same.
Please wrap up, Mr. Ryan.
So we're all given the same opportunity to know what's going on, and, maybe we want to get
Thank you very much
involved.
for
Thank
your
you.
comments.
Mayor, for the benefit of the audience, if I may, a couple points of clarification. First off, the passenger rail project, again, is being led by SBCTA. With that, they did approve an environmental impact report that had in-depth discussion about property acquisitions that were necessary for this project. And in fact, the staff report that's included in the council's council report references that EIR, which talks about that. Those property acquisitions and the EIR were all discussed in a public forum with SBCTA and noticed in accordance with state law. Also, for the benefit of the public, I want to make clear that although the APNs are referenced twice in the closed session memo, they're dealing with two separate portions of property. They're not in conflict with each other. And council, of course, did discuss that within closed session, is now taking action in open session, all in accordance with the Brown Act in a public forum.
Thank you, Director. Appreciate it. Other questions of staff at this time?
I just want to ask staff if they could talk about one part of the, of what is being pointed out right now. Could you talk about any easements that we might be securing with this?
Sure. One of the design elements of this particular property in question is that it will likely contain a pedestrian thoroughfare that will connect a portion of the parking area to the north with the area that's currently known as Shoppers Lane to the south. So with that design element in mind, we incorporated language into the deed and into the purchasing sale agreement, which ensures that public access will be maintained in perpetuity. Contingent, of course, on the rail or the Public Utilities Commission approving a crossing at that point, but at least the property agreement is all, contains that language.
Thank you. I think that was really important for the public to know.
Any other questions or comments? I would entertain a motion.
I move that the city council determine that approval of the purchase and sale agreement with the San Bernardino County Transportation Authority is not subject to further environmental review because of an environmental impact report / environmental impact statement for the Redlands Passenger Rail Project was adopted on March 4th, 2015, and approval of the agreement does not meet any of the conditions set forth in section 15162 of the California Environmental Quality Act that would require a subsequent environmental impact report or environmental document, and further move that the City Council approve the purchase and sale agreement with the San Bernardino County Transportation Authority for a 2,708 square foot portion of assessor's parcel number 019-281-19-000.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Davis, seconded by Councilmember Momberger. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Moving on to individual councilmember announcements and reports on activities. We'll start with Councilmember Tejeda.
So, a very light couple of weeks. I went to the Confire meeting today, and that was very informational. We toured the, was that facility that we toured? The dispatch center, yeah. We toured that, and I hosted a group of citizens that wanted to talk about some things that were important to them. That's about it.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Momberger.
Okay, along with you, and you might be the one who wants to talk about this, we gave an update on city issues at the request of the Women's Council of Realtors at an open to the public event that was a fundraiser for their agency. I attended the Redlands Conservancy annual meeting and Party for the Parties. I, in your stead, attended the Kaiser Permanente lunch. I'm extremely impressed by the preventive, collaborative projects that they have going on with school districts and senior centers and all different facets of the community to ensure that they have health as a chronic state. I attended a dinner at the firehouse, which was fantastic. They had to kick me out about midnight because it was so interesting. I went along with all of you to the Sankey Trail dedication, and then this morning, I got back late last night from a trip to see my children in Colorado, but this morning I attended a funeral service for my Aunt Evelyn. I want to mention that.
Thank you, Councilmember. Mayor Pro Tem Davis.
Sure, so I attended the closing reception and the last showing of the Face of Lincoln exhibit, and just want to thank Garden Hole Productions and the library and everyone associated with that production. That was truly spectacular. I attended the Downtown Redlands Art Walk, and also I attended the 8th annual Cesar Chavez Breakfast sponsored by the Chicano Latino Caucus of San Bernardino County. I joined the walking tour of the future downtown transit village thanks to SBCTA, Alta, and Fair and Peers for providing this opportunity for community engagement and feedback as we think about ways to make our streets more pedestrian and bike friendly. I really appreciate these opportunities. I attended with my colleagues the Zanha Trail dedication, and also I attended Assembly Member Jose Medina's Women of Distinction Luncheon in Riverside.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember.
Thank you. I attended the Conservancy had an event at the Benton Building, and my wife and I signed up for a couple of their parties, which we're looking forward to. Also attended the Civil War Symposium that Esri hosted. I want to thank Esri. That was extremely, very, very educational seminar they had. And I had to leave for a little bit to go to the ribbon cutting for the Sankey, I'm sorry. The Port of Razor, we call it Sankey Saha, but right, but it's gonna be Sankey for us, right? It's always. I also attended the Airport Advisory Board. My wife and I not only attended, but we sponsored a jazz concert sponsored by the Black Chamber of Commerce. Excellent concert. Crafton Hills had a spring fundraiser that my wife and I also attended and picked up a few goodies. So, had a very, very good time. That's a wonderful college. We're lucky to have that so close to us. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. I will adjourn the regular City Council meeting at this time until our next regular meeting of April 16th, 2019. And I will call to order the successor agency of the Farmer Redevelopment Agency of the City of Redlands. At this time, we'll take public comment from anyone that wishes to address the Board of Directors on an item that is not scheduled on tonight's agenda. Yes, sir.
About,
You need to come forward,
yeah.
please.
About the transit.
You need to come to the mic,
Oh
please,
yeah,
sir.
okay. About the transit village, I kind of agree with that other guy was saying. I'm not against the train. It's just that you said 6 or 7 stories isn't isn't on the agenda, but 4 or 5 story buildings is still high density, so I'd like the train as long as we don't have high density. And, do you know how many cars you're trying to get off the road by the train anyway?
This is just your opportunity to comment to the council.
Okay, so yeah, train's fine, but I don't want 4 or 5 story buildings in the transit village.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that wishes to address the board of directors? All right, seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of March 19th.
So moved.
It's been moved by Councilmember Barrett, seconded by Councilmember Tejeda. All those in favor?
Aye.
And I should have said directors, sorry guys. Thank you very much. And we will adjourn the successor agency board of directors meeting until our next regular meeting of May 7th, 2019.